Hey guys, Nitish here. I hope you are doing well. First of all, I really want to apologize for showing up this late after so many months, but I'm really excited to see you all guys once again. In today's video, we are making pozole, which is a traditional Mexican stew that is usually served during special occasions. The first time I tried pozole was when my mother-in-law made it for me and my wife, and since then I got totally hooked onto it. And out of curiosity, of course, I wanted to learn how she makes it, and then she taught me how she makes it, and now it's my turn to show you how to make a good pozole. So let's begin. Alright, so the first step in making the pozole is making the pork stock. For that, we're gonna use 1.2 kilograms of bone-in pork butt, which is also known as Boston butt. It comes from the upper portion of the pig's front shoulder, which is quite a tough cut and is heavily marbled with a lot of fat running throughout the meat that makes this cut super tender and juicy when it's cooked low and slow. Next, I got 4 pork neck bones, about 350 grams, and 1 piece of pork trotter that is cleaned and cut into 2 pieces right from the center. Both of these things contain a good amount of collagen and a lot of connecting tissues, which will be converted into gelatin as we cook, resulting in a very rich, silky and velvety stock. Next, we're gonna make this small sack of aromatics to add some flavors to our stock, which is known as bouquet garni. To make that, we're gonna grab a large enough cheesecloth, and to that we're gonna add 4 bay leaves, about 15 sprigs of fresh thyme, 2 teaspoons whole black peppercorns, 1 bulb of garlic about 50 grams that is cut in half, and 1 whole white onion about 300 grams that is cut in half as well. Then we're gonna tie the ends of the cloth really tightly like so to make sure they are all nice and secured so they don't escape into the pot while cooking. Now we are going to transfer all of them into a large pot and fill it with cold water up to the point where the meat is completely submerged, which by the way is 2.5 liters of water to be exact, and then bring it to a gentle boil over a medium heat. After about 30 minutes or so, when it starts to boil gently, you are going to see a lot of this whitish brownish foam accumulating on the surface, which is just the proteins from the meat that is coagulating, and we are going to skim it as quickly as possible using a spoon in a separate bowl. Once we get rid of most of the foam, we are gonna reduce the heat to medium-low, then add 45 grams of sea salt and 1 tablespoon Mexican oregano. Then give it a light stir to mix in the oregano, cover the pot with the lid, and continue to simmer for about 4.5 hours until the meat becomes soft and tender. During these hours, the water level in the pot is going to drop, so what we're gonna have to do is keep checking and keep refilling it with some warm water, and make sure that the meat is completely submerged in the water at all times so we get the same amount of the liquid that we added in the beginning, and then cover the pot and continue simmering. Now we are gonna let the stock go in the background and make this deep red colored chili salsa, which is what makes this pozole rojo. For that, we are gonna need 6 chiles guajillo, 3 chile de arbol, 2 chile chipotle, and 5 chile ancho. Chile guajillo is one of the most commonly used chile peppers in Mexico. It is a dried form of mirasol chile, which is considered mild to medium spicy and is known for its rich flavor that has many fruity undertones. And chile ancho is a dried form of poblano chile peppers, which are considered to be quite mild and have a combination of flavors like sweet, smoky, chocolatey, earthy, and fruity. Now traditionally, only these 2 chiles are used in making pozole rojo, but I'm adding chile de arbol to add some extra heat, which are quite spicy, about 6 times as hot as an average jalapeno, and chile chipotle to add some smoky flavor, which are basically fully ripened jalapenos that are dried and then smoked. Now we're gonna cut their stems off and remove the seeds from just ancho and guajillo, but leave the seeds in the chipotle and the arbol to keep that heat. And once they are cleaned, we are going to transfer all the chilies into a medium-sized bowl, then pour some boiling hot water and push them down to make sure they are completely submerged in the water. Then cover the pot with a plastic wrap and let them sit for about 40 minutes to rehydrate. After 40 minutes, we are going to transfer these guys to a high-powered blender along with a little bit of water from the chilies, and then blend them on a high speed. Once they are all crushed and smooth, we are going to add 40 grams peeled garlic cloves, 160 grams roughly chopped white onion, and 3 teaspoons Mexican oregano, and blend them again until pureed. We are looking for a thick smoothie-like consistency, so feel free to add some more of the chili water if it's required to adjust the consistency. Now in the next step, we are going to cook this chili salsa to get rid of the raw flavors from the onion and the garlic and to bring the best flavors out of these chilies. So in a medium-sized pan, we are gonna add about 1.5 tablespoons of vegetable oil and heat it on a medium-high heat. Once the oil is hot, we are gonna transfer this chili salsa into the pan and cook it for about 5 minutes while moving it constantly. And after 5 minutes, we are gonna lower the heat to medium-low and let it simmer for about 30 to 40 minutes. During this time, we are gonna give it a stir occasionally to prevent it from sticking to the bottom of the pan, and then after 40 minutes, we are gonna kill the heat and set it aside until ready to use. And after 4.5 hours mark, let's return to our simmering stock and see if the meat is cooked through and has become soft and tender. So to do that, we are gonna grab a knife and jab it into the thickest part of the pork butt. And as you can see, my knife is cutting through the meat without putting so much effort, which clearly indicates that the meat is done cooking. But if in any case the meat is not soft enough, then continue to simmer for a little bit longer until you are able to cut through the meat very easily. Now we're gonna take the bouquet garni and the pork trotter out of the pot, then transfer all the meat into a separate container and let it cool down for about 30 to 40 minutes. Meanwhile, we are gonna strain the stock in a large bowl through a fine mesh strainer, then transfer it back to the same pot and add our chili salsa that we prepared. Now the next ingredient that we're gonna add into the pot is something called hominy. It is a type of Mexican field corn that is first dried and then soaked in an alkaline solution to remove the hull and germs, which causes the kernels to swell in the process, and this whole treatment is referred as nixtamalization. Nixtamalization not only improves the nutritional content of the corn but also gives the kernel a distinct aroma while improving its flavor. Now making hominy from scratch takes a lot of time, so I'm using the canned ones which you can easily find in any Latin section of the grocery store. We are going to be using 2 cans here and each can weighs about 710 grams. Now before using, we are gonna drain the water from the cans and wash the hominy for a few times until the water is no longer murky. Then we are gonna drain the water, transfer the hominy into the pot, give it all a good stir and cook it on a medium heat for about 30 minutes. Now while that's happening, let's cut the meat that has been cooling down and prepare the toppings that go on the pozole. To cut the meat, we are gonna cut the pork shoulder into bite-sized chunks. Just make sure you don't cut them too small. You can keep their size anywhere between 1 to 2 inches. And you can discard the fat from the pork butt if you like, but I like keeping it to have some extra added texture that it provides, which I'm gonna cut into bite-sized chunks same as the pork butt. And from the neck bones, we're gonna remove as much meat as possible, making sure that the bones are clean. Now for the toppings, we are gonna thinly slice some radish, transfer it to a small container and keep it submerged in the cold water so it stays nice and crispy. Next, we are gonna thinly slice some green cabbage, then finely chop some white onion, cut some lime into wedges, and finally cut an avocado into small cubes, and that is all with the toppings. And after cooking the hominy for 30 minutes, we are gonna transfer the meat into the pot and continue cooking for another 15 minutes. Then give it a final taste to adjust the salt, and that's it. Our pozole is ready. Now we are gonna ladle it in a soup bowl, making sure we get the same amount of the stock, the hominy and the meat. Then sprinkle some oregano, add some of the onion, then some cabbage, a few slices of radish, a little bit of avocado, then squeeze some lime and eat this pozole. Ay, que rico! This is how you say it in Spanish when something is super delicious. The broth is incredibly rich and flavorful. It is savory, tangy, smoky and slightly spicy. The meat is super tender. The hominy, which is a key ingredient, is adding a unique texture with a very mild corn flavor. And the toppings that I added are counteracting the heat and providing a very satisfying crunch, making every spoonful of this pozole an enjoyable experience. Okay guys, so that was it for pozole. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, give this video a like, share it, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel cause it really helps me out. And all my amigos from Mexico, do let me know in the comment section how I did with pozole. My mother-in-law says that I did pretty well with it, and of course my wife agrees with it because they both have tasted it. Now it's time for me to go, but I will see you guys very soon in the next video. Till then, bye bye.